Ah, the Western. A film genre that features gunslinging, horseback riding, hot-ass deserts, mean-mugging Native Americans, and mean-mugging cowboys. For whatever reason, it's a genre that's been largely ignored by video games. There's only a handful of notable games that have even attempted the aesthetic. You had Gunsmoke in the 80s, Sunset Riders in the 90s, the game we're looking at today along with Gun and the Call of Juarez series throughout the 2000s, the breakout hit in Red Dead Redemption, and pretty soon Red Dead Redemption 2. With the release of the last game right around the corner, and Rockstar fans jizzing themselves in anticipation, I figured there's no better time to look at the game that started it all, Red Dead Revolver. Before we get into the game proper, I'm gonna briefly touch on the development, since how this game even made it to the shelf is a miracle. So apparently back in the year 2000, Rockstar San Diego, who at the time were known as Angel Studios, were funded and directed by Capcom to make a spiritual successor to Gunsmoke. As you can see from the footage, Gunsmoke was an arcade-style shoot-'em-up, and Capcom wanted to maintain some of this arcadiness for the modern game. Early trailers of the game showed a crap ton of UI stuff on screen, quirky fonts, and even a character that can fly. Angel Studios was against all this stuff as they wanted to make the game more grounded. With both developer and publisher at odds, the game's production came to a halt. At least, that was until Take-Two Interactive, Rockstar Games' parent company, bought Angel Studios outright and rebranded them Rockstar San Diego. The studio made both Smuggler's Run and Midnight Club for Rockstar already, so the two companies were already on good terms. When it came to Red Dead Revolver, Capcom canceled the title, but the rights to the game were quickly acquired by Rockstar Games, and they would allow Rockstar San Diego to finally finish the game. It was released May 2004 on the PlayStation 2 and original Xbox. It sold and rated decently, but this video isn't about the general consensus of the game, so let's get into the game proper. Set in the 1880s Wild West, the game sees you play as Red Harlow, a vengeful bounty hunter looking to kill the men responsible for the death of his parents. The game opens with Nate Harlow, Red Harlow's dad, returning home telling his family about gold he and his partner Griff found in an area called Bear Mountain. To celebrate, they made two distinct looking revolvers. Nate has one and Griff has the other. While Red goes target practicing down by the river, a bunch of men led by a man named Colonel Darren raid the Harlow farm to kill Nate. They're successful, but before they kill Red, he manages to escape by taking the fancy looking revolver and blasting the Colonel's left arm off. Fast forward a bunch of years later and Red's now a bona fide bounty hunting badass. He arrives in a town called Brimstone, and from here, he helps the sheriff with a bunch of bounties. Okay, so visually this game looks about as good as other Rockstar games from this era, and what I mean by that is that the setting is fully realized, but the character models and animations are ugly as shit. Let's dig into the former before we get into the negatives. So yeah, they definitely got the Western aesthetic down. Rundown shanty towns, rocky mountain ranges, vast plains. I really like the whole grainy projector effect applied to all the cutscenes too. There's these black bars that also appear whenever you're in combat. Obviously they're here to make whatever you're doing feel more cinematic. This may annoy some, but I didn't mind. I would say it's actually pretty effective. Wish there were more levels set during sunset. This level where you have to destroy a stagecoach stood out to me as looking particularly cinematic. Also, this level where you have to play as Annie Stokes. It's one of two levels that feature the color green, and this is more of a personal preference, but I'll take forest areas over the desert any day of the week. You know, weirdly enough, a lot of these enclosed levels like the tunnel look worse than the others. It's weird because in any other game, these levels would look better since the developers would have better control of the lighting. But anyway, the game overall looks alright, but what stands out as looking really bad are the characters. Not Red, he looks alright. Kinda looks like a darker haired version of the man with no name. Everyone else though,
Jesus.
And I know what some of you are saying, but getting yard, it's a 2004 PlayStation 2 game. Of course it'll be a little rough around the edges. I'm not trying to hear that. This game came out the same year as games such as Half-Life 2, Metal Gear Solid 3, and Halo 2, and the faces in those games aren't nearly this awful. When you start fighting soldiers later on, they're literally all copy and pasted short Mexican dudes. I understand them scrapping a lot of the game led to them having to cut corners, but damn. There could have been a whole other layer of tension with these dueling sequences if the characters actually emoted. But really, that's all I gotta say about the presentation. It's satisfactory. So let's move on to how the game plays. Red Dead Revolver is mostly your basic mission-based third-person shooter. You go through a level shooting down enemies before they can shoot you down, and then at the end you have to take out a boss or two. After you return to Brimstone, which serves as the hub area, you buy a bunch of weapons and other crap to make you into a more efficient killing machine. That's the general repetition of the game, but to go more in depth, let's talk about the combat first. So there's this whole cover system similar to a lot of third-person shooters today. You duck behind cover, wait for enemies to leave their cover, and then you light them up. This is pre-Gears of War though, so going in and out of cover is not very smooth. It's also not very handy in many instances either. Even though enemies can duck behind cover also, half of the time they either make a beeline straight towards the player, or they stand out in the open with no sense of self-preservation. Yeah, playing aggressively is definitely the way to go, especially since most of these guys aim like stormtroopers. At least, most of the time. It's alright though, for anybody that disrespects you, you can go over and pimp slap them.
Finish him! Oh, thank you! When will they ever learn?
Time to learn some manners!
You winged them good.
Yeah, the hand-to-hand combat sucks. For any Overwatch fans watching and wondering how a McCree single-player game would look, well...
It's high noon.
The move is even called Deadeye. What a coincidence. It's really similar to the bullet time in the Max Payne games, where time temporarily slows down, allowing players to shoot more precisely. The difference here is that players auto-lock to different parts of multiple dudes, and Red unleashes his whole clip when time goes back to normal. It's pretty badass, and it's a major factor in me not getting bored with the shooting in this game. My only problem is the fact that sometimes you can shoot somebody in the head multiple times and they won't go down, while other times, shooting dudes in the head is an instant kill. It makes no sense. Okay, so let's move on to the duels, because a Western wouldn't be a Western without them. Okay, this time I got this. It's harder than it looks.
Better not be any more heroes or you'll get it, just like him.
So throughout the game, you engage in duels with various enemies. Long dramatic stare downs followed by a quick draw of your revolver. How it works in this game is you have to lean the analog stick back and then forward quickly to draw your weapon. Then you have to quickly get 6 lock-ons on your enemy and hope they're red, meaning a critical hit. So before I talk more about this, I gotta say, I really like the presentation on these. The ominous music, the side panning wide shots, the zooming on the faces. There's a good amount of tension with these parts, but I digress. So with these parts, I don't know if I suck or if it's actually that hard to control, but I never got these down. So the first part on what makes this difficult is that you have to draw your weapon faster than your opponent. But you can't draw too fast or Red will completely miss his revolver and try to shoot down his opponent with his finger. During the beginning, most enemies don't draw until you draw, but later on they draw faster than you no matter what. And if you get shot first, then you might as well not try anymore because you've already lost. That's just the draw. Locking on is probably the hardest part of this. The aiming is so stiff. It's a damn shame this game never got ported to the PC because let me tell you, for these sections, the analog stick is just not where it's at. I gotta talk about this asshole right here, so here's a spoiler warning. So after completing a couple of bounties and getting revenge against some of the guys you were looking for, Red enlists in a battle royale for, I guess, money? It's never really stated. Anyway, you go through a series of duels escalating in difficulty until you reach the champion. And boy, if you haven't mastered the dueling in this game by this point, you won't have a fun time. This guy is no joke. Your timing and accuracy has to be damn near perfect against him. And that's just not me exaggerating. The game even says so. This probably took me about 70 tries, and the worst part about this is when you beat him, there's a boss battle right after. And it's not easy. He runs away like a pussy and shoots civilians, and if he kills too many, you not only have to fight him again, you have to do the whole duel over again too. Anyway, speaking of the bosses, there's a crap ton of them in this game. So much so that I wouldn't even consider half of them bosses, just regular enemies with more health. A lot of them don't offer much in strategy also, just simple avoid their gunfire and then shoot them down. This applies to all of the bosses except one.
You gonna blow up real good, cowboy!
This guy was an asshole, and in hindsight, him being the first bounty is a pretty sharp spike in difficulty. Unlike the other bosses, you have to hide and get a few shots in when he's not looking. Sounds simple enough, but if this guy sees you, it's damn near impossible to escape him. He's gonna blow you up, and when he does, Red does this really annoying roll before he recovers. Yeah, I really don't like this animation. Every character does this when they get blown back. And yeah, I said characters. You play as Red through the majority of the game, but there are a handful of missions where you have to play as another character. Jack Swift the Englishman, Annie Stokes the ranch woman, Buffalo Soldier, one of Red's Native American relatives. You even play as General Diego, who's one of the main villains in this game. Reading some of the reviews from way back when, the constant switching of characters seems to be one of the main criticisms. And yeah, I sorta get where they're coming from. None of the other characters' personalities or stories are really that interesting, but to be fair, neither is Red's. He just sounds like a bootleg western version of Solid Snake if you ask me.
I want my money.
We have a small problem.
Then tell me about the Golden Bear Mountain that young lady was talking about.
I'm sorry, I can't disclose anything about our clients.
Then tell me where she lives. And when I get back, you'd better have my gold.
To be honest, the story in general is not that interesting. If you've seen any movie with a plot about revenge, you know the story of this game. Here's another spoiler warning. So during the battle royale, Red notices the governor has one of the special pistols that Nate mentioned in the beginning of the game. So he and the other characters chase after the governor in his mansion, fight through a bunch of his men, and Red confronts him at the end. It's revealed that he was the real mastermind behind the death of Red's parents, and the game ends with one final duel giving the bastard his just desserts.
Never did like him much.
The sheriff offers Red his last bounty, but then Red goes off with these last words.
Give it to them. It never was about the money.
So yeah, that's the story. It's a cookie cutter western plot. It's serviceable, but nothing special. The only other mode that the game offers after the fact is Showdown, a local multiplayer mode where you go against other players or AI in a deathmatch or dueling. I didn't really play around with this that much, but it seems like something that would be fun with friends. A lot of the stuff you buy and unlock through the main story unlock stuff here, and I like this and I don't like this at the same time. I like this because I miss the days where you had to unlock stuff in video games through being good at the game, but I can't help but feel like Brimstone as a place suffers because of this. There's nothing to do around here except buy weapons and buy stuff for Showdown mode. To make the town feel a little bit more alive, they could have had some NPCs offer you some side quests. Actually, now that I think about it, going back to the issue of playing as a handful of different characters, they could have circumvented this by having those characters be side missions. Just have some NPC reading a newspaper about the events of the other characters, and when you talk to him, you do one of those missions.
Sheriff Bartlett says we're safer than ever.
Okay, so before I wrap up this review, I gotta mention the soundtrack. It's fantastic. Half of the songs on here are from different classic spaghetti westerns. Any film buffs watching this video probably recognize at least a few of these songs here. So yeah, that's Red Dead Revolver. Despite being a little rough around the edges, I still enjoyed my time with it. Would I recommend this game? Yes, but only to those really curious. If you played Red Dead Redemption or even Gun first, then you probably won't like this one very much. If you haven't, and you don't have anything else to play at the moment, then you might as well give this a shot. It's only 7 hours long and you can probably beat it in a single play session. Anyway, until next time.